just got home from work and the dentist. Everything's cool. I'm distracted. I don't know if this is a good background. Is this boring? Do you want to see books in the background? I don't know.
Let me move you back. And how's that? Is that better?
I wonder if that's too far away. So it looks like I'm going to Goodreads. I can't remember what I read. I think I read, let's see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books.
I read 12 books in July. The first book I read in July is The Grace Year by Kim Liggett. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I was initially worried because it is a YA, but it really doesn't read that much like a YA. And so it's about this sort of post-apocalyptic world where the girls, when they turn 16, have to go on their grace year, meaning they're led into the woods and they have to survive. Some people survive it and some of them don't. The girls that come back are often, if they come back at all, they're missing pieces of themselves. So maybe they're missing their long braid that they've been growing forever. Maybe they're missing an ear, some fingers. Maybe some are much more maimed than that. We don't know. Are they fighting one another? Are they getting nibbled on by wolves? And I think Tierney's our main character. This is her year. What makes this year more complicated is that there are conflicts with these other girls. We've got a gaggle of mean girls.
You can't sit with us!
That are also going into their grace year, and I'm sure every year has their mean girls, their little in crowd. Tierney's year is no exception, and so she knows bad, evil, crazy things are going on, and then she also has to deal with some really bad, mean 16-year-old girls. Don't let that put you off if that kind of drama doesn't appeal to you. It doesn't appeal to me in the least, but there was enough of a post-apocalyptic bent to this book that I went ahead with it. It's got great reviews, and I gave it 5 stars as well, like I said. All right, the next book I read was Shiver by Ali Reynolds. From what I remember, I think these are people from the UK. So it's 5 friends who haven't seen one another for 10 years. One of their friend group died when they were last together in the Swiss Alps, in the French Alps. They were big snowboarders, competitive but still friends, but they haven't seen each other since, and no one knows who invited them there. We know there's a third party, but who is it? Is it the girl that was killed? Is it her brother who maybe wants revenge? There's some romance in the past and happening now, but no one trusts one another. So this whole resort has been rented out by someone, and now they're being killed off one by one. I gave this one 4 stars. I liked it. I would recommend it. Okay, Survive the Night, it was next, by Riley Sager. This one,
Let me see what the reviews are.
I've heard some people saying that they didn't like this book, and I don't quite understand. It's got a 3.52 on Goodreads for 107,000 people. So protagonist here is Charlie. She's had something bad happen at campus and she wants to leave. She wants to leave college indefinitely, and she puts a ride share.
Why is this hard? Ugh, so hard talking about books that you read that you spent hours on, and then you sneeze and forget everything about them.
This is not an unforgettable book. I just can't, I don't know, my brain, is it shot
And because the elastic is shot in her pantyhose, who knows?
for the day? Is it just done? What can I do? I can't, does someone need to blow in my ear and give it CPR? I don't know. It's like flatlining right now. She posts her need for a car to take her to somewhere in Ohio. This guy pops up, Josh Baxter, and says, hey, I'm going that way. I'll drop you off. And Josh is not who he says he is. And it's a wild ride. They're playing games in the car, and she starts to uncover little things she feels are sketchy. And they are sketchy. He's handsome, but she starts to think he might not be all there. And there's been a campus killer. I think that's actually what happened to her roommate or her friend. The campus, yeah, that's it. The campus killer got her. And he could be the campus killer. We don't know. But there are times in that car ride when she certainly thinks so. Do you want to know what happens to Charlie? If you do, you should read this book. All right. Again, 4 stars. Annihilation was next. Jeff Vandermeer. So, he's the author. This is about an expedition that these women go on to Area X. And let's see. It says nature has reclaimed the last vestiges of human civilization. There have been, 12? There have been 11 of these expeditions. Nobody comes back from this Area X. We don't know if it's monsters, aliens, dinosaurs. You just don't know. This next group going to the Southern Reach. The group is made up of 4 women, a psychologist, a surveyor, a biologist. What's the other one? Anthropologist. There was going to be a linguist. Something happened. She didn't end up going. This is so good. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It's not really the book's fault. This is very scary, very atmospheric. Something really nasty is going on. I still don't know because this is a trilogy. It's gruesome. People are disappearing. The only person who's ever come back from these expeditions, these scientific expeditions, was the biologist or the narrator. Her husband came back, and that's why she's interested in going at all. There's some blood, some gore. It's mainly just a really tantalizing mystery, honestly. But I had some other books due that I needed to get to from the library, and I just made the mistake of stopping the momentum. Like, I stopped the book and I had to wait until it either came in back again to the library or when it was available on ebook format. So I think that's what happened. This is one you want to dive into and stay there. Otherwise, you lose the thread, you lose the details. So I would absolutely recommend this first book. I don't know if I'm going to continue with the Southern Reach trilogy. There is a movie that goes with this, and it is
disgusting,
hard to watch. It is weird. No, somebody on drugs, I think, wrote that script, did that movie. Natalie Portman is in it. It was ew. I would not want to watch it again, but if you like that kind of thing, like kind of a horror thing, the book is very scientific. The biologist is taking notes on what she sees. She's so smart. She's so good at her job. She's so into the mission. They're all into the mission. It's really scary when things start happening to each of them. And then there are disappearances and bodies, and you're going down into these deep, dark tunnels or caves or temples or what have you, whatever it is. Or is it the innards of are you inside the belly of a beast? You just don't know. I'm just telling you what you might find in this book. Be ready for literally anything. Okay. Anna of Cleves is the next book that I read. 4 stars. I'm not going to say much about this one. This is from Alison Weir. This is her 6 Tudor Queens series. This is Princess 4. We know her as Anna of Cleves or Anna of Cleve. And she's the German princess that Henry VIII saw a portrait of, and he loved the portrait, but for whatever reason, when she landed on English soil and he saw her, he was not happy. What I love about these historical, this is historical fiction, but what I love about them is Alison Weir at the end, she's a historian, so she gives the historical evidence as to why she pushed the narrative this way or that way. And some of the things that I learned about Anna of Cleves were things I had zero idea about. And so I couldn't wait to hear at the end, because I know this is what she does. I couldn't wait to hear why. Did you have this be the way her life played out? Why did you have this be the way Henry VIII in this story treated her? I couldn't wait to find out why. And she gives us the evidence for that. And it's so interesting. Honestly, just a book about the history and what we're thinking, what historians have pieced together about this story. That would have been enough for me. But I love this book. It got 4 stars. Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So this I'm not going to talk a whole lot about. It's by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. And this one I read, no, I don't know who the translator was for this one. But on Goodreads it says Geoffrey Trousselot. My food is ready. I'll get it in a second. I gave this 1 star. I originally gave it 2 and then I gave it 1. It's 4, I think, short stories about a cafe where if you sit in this certain spot and you have this certain person pour coffee, you can go back in time. I didn't like it. I thought it was extremely boring. I get what the author was trying to say. You know, maybe you can go back and forth in time, but you can't change anything. History will be what it is. You can only get different details and change your emotions around those events. Like I said in my reading blog, there was just a lot of what, huh, after every sentence. I hated it. I wish I hadn't wasted my time on this book. The next was The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This one I gave 3 stars. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite Holocaust book. It was probably the worst I've ever read, but only because it just seemed a bit unreal and unrealistic. Although it is about an actual person, Lattes Sokolov, I believe. Then I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I liked this one. I gave it 3 stars. It is about like a really rough upbringing that someone had. Well, Jeanette McCurdy. And I don't recommend it. I don't not recommend it. It's just, if you want to read about someone's abuse, go for it. I think we all know that Hollywood stars, young stars, are exploited by many people. And in this case, the first person to exploit her was her mother. And it goes above and beyond. Like, the abuse and the mental illness in this book was just on another level. Next, I read Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I don't have any of these, obviously. They were from the library. I gave this one 2 stars, although I really did like it. I cut the stars because there was a romance in it that I didn't like at all. It didn't need to be there. That's gross. Yeah. I don't want to read about an orc doing anything but fighting or making lattes in her case. I loved Thimble the rat and his thimblet, or his thimblets that he would make. I liked some of the characters. I liked that everything came together. It was a low stakes fantasy. No thanks. I mean, I don't know why you felt the need to add a romance in there. Like, the next is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I'm not going to talk about this one a lot. I did, this one was in a whole reading blog of its own. Our protagonist is watching The House Across the Lake, and there's some shady stuff going on over there, and she has a front row seat. 4 stars. Next, A Certain Hunger. Ooh, I gotta get my food. Okay, I had to get my food. Food is out of the oven. What was I on? A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. I did a whole vlog, a reading vlog about this one. Not really a whole lot to say. I gave this one 3 stars. It was okay. I loved some of the writing. It's about cannibalism and a foodie. So you can imagine descriptive writing with someone who loves food and writing about food, and then also writing about that food. Disgusting! You picking up what I'm putting down? Didn't make me sick like some people said it did to them. I'm not unhappy that I read it. It's just a book. The last book that I read in July was Hidden Pictures, and I'm pretty sure I did a reading vlog for that one too. Yeah, 4 stars. 4 stars. A nanny comes to work for a family that's pretty sketchy, but they're quite wealthy. And they've got this little boy, Teddy, who starts to draw some really gross, disturbing pictures. And she can't let it go. She has to look for the reasons why and try to solve this mystery. And it's got some pretty crazy scenes. I think on some level I suspected something to do with what eventually happens, but not to the extent. Like any kind of thriller, it's got a few different answers. So it was good. It was good. I would recommend that one. Those are all the books. What was that, 12? Did I just talk about 12 books after work? 12 books in July. July was a very busy month, but I made it happen. Thank God for weekends. I did my August TBR. I will link the reading vlogs that I finished for July, or that I did, recorded for July. And I will also link my August TBR. I would love to know what you guys are reading. All right, I'm gonna go eat and stop doing whatever I'm doing. Bye.